Alex Bregman and Carlos Correa return to Houston on the same night as the both Sox and Cy Young candidate Garrett Crochet battle the Astros. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
And welcome into MLB Game Night, every game, every night. I am one of your hosts, JD Hafron, host of Locked On Cardinals. Joining me, a man who still uses MapQuest to travel, and one half of Locked On Angels, Mr. Jon Frisch in the house as well.
Printing out those directions, baby. Let's go.
No, try to keep your eyes on the road, John. I know it's tough with all of those sheets of paper printed out for you, but you got to be safe out there. The Battle of Los Angeles, speaking of safe, Battle of Los Angeles, your Angels hosting the Dodgers tonight. Kyle Schwarber and the Phillies strike late in Cincinnati, and the Brewers go for 10 wins in a row as they go up against the Pirates. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. We're going to be getting Houston. Red Sox and Astros, two teams that seem destined for the playoffs, barring any major collapses from either side. A little over a week after the Red Sox swept the Astros in Boston, these two teams get a chance to face each other once again in Houston. It's the first time that Alex Bregman has played in Houston for another team after signing with the Red Sox. Got a nice ovation in his return. Carlos Correa also returning since coming over from the Twins at the trade deadline. How would things play out on the field? We got Brett from Locked On Astros with his thoughts on the homecoming in Houston.
Well, it was Alex Bregman's homecoming, and the Astros made sure he took the L. Hello, I'm John Wellhouse here with Locked On Astros, and the Astros defeated the Red Sox tonight by a very slim margin, 7-6. El Reptil was on the mound. That's Christian Javier, who is cold as ice. After giving up a two-run home run to Alex Bregman, he settled down. The Astros came back. They took the lead. They would never look back. They did get a couple two-run home runs by Chas McCormick, by Roman Urias, and that was nice to see. But it wasn't without a lot of pomp and circumstance. The Astros gave an appropriate return to Alex Bregman, a great video tribute because he has done so much. But it was great for the fans to see Carlos Correa back in an Astros uniform for the first time since returning to his old team. The Astros put themselves one full game in front of the Mariners as they are off, and they send Spencer Arrighetti game 2, game 3, Hunter Brown. If they can round out this series with the win, they can keep themselves outpacing the Mariners for now. Oh, and in other news, Josh Hader, he's out with shoulder soreness. They've got tests they're running. We don't know yet, but hopefully it's not too long that he's out.
Yeah, my buddy who's in our fantasy league with us, he was just like, dude, my team's falling apart. Now Josh Hader's out too. He's having a rough go, which, was fine with me. But yeah, Brett talking about this homecoming, obviously pretty interesting game to be at if you're an Astros fan, because you can see Bregman in the bad uniform now. Correa comes back, which is something that I know that they're all really excited about. Bregman actually did pretty well in this one, hit a two-run homer and got the scoring started off his former teammate, Christian Javier. But the Astros would have run away with the lead over the next few innings. As you mentioned, the home runs from, Chas McCormick. Astros got out to that 7-2 lead after the fifth. Red Sox made it interesting, though, but ended up being the Astros in the end. Roman Anthony got the Sox within one with that two-run homer. He's been an absolute stud since being brought up from the Sox. We got Gabby from Locked On Red Sox to discuss this game and share why she's not really that concerned with the start from Garrett Crochet.
Garrett Crochet's rough outing is not something to be concerned about moving forward. I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, where the Red Sox fell 7-6, unfortunately, against the Houston Astros tonight on the road. The Red Sox have now lost 4 of their last 5 games on a tough road trip that included the Padres first and now the Astros. And Garrett Crochet, the Red Sox ace, took the mound in the game. He threw just 4 innings and gave up 5 runs and 7 hits. So absolutely not his night. He was just getting hit. and he wasn't himself, and the Astros kind of pounced on him. In the first couple innings, he looked like the Garrett Crochet we all know and love, but then in the third and fourth innings, he was really struggling to get guys out and execute the right pitches. But he is the ace. Every pitcher is due for bad outings every once in a while. He'll absolutely bounce back next time. Tough loss for the Red Sox, though. You really do need to win with your ace on the mound. Will they bounce back? Tune into Locked On Red Sox for more on this team to find out how the rest of the season goes.
Got a message here from BamMan100. Lots of aces getting roughed up recently. You know, it's that part of the season. We're in what we call them the dog days of August for a reason. And this is that time of year where, you know, these guys have racked up a lot of innings and they're starting to get a little tired. So are you worried about Garrett Crochet? Because Gabby is not, John.
Yeah, no, it's every ace goes through it. Everybody's going to have a rough outing. And, you know, it's interesting that it happened in this game. But the truth is that anybody that you're going into the playoffs with at the top of your rotation, Garrett Crochet is the one that you want to start a series with. And so, you know, yeah, it's a loss today, but it's going to be that much more impactful when you're in the postseason and you're making a push to get deep into October and November. I think, do we still go into November? It's happened a couple of times. But the fact is, I think if you're going to start a series out with Garrett Crochet on the mound, you're going to be sitting pretty in any playoff series. So not too worried about this one. I do have an interesting fact about the Angels that I'll share because that's going to be our next one. Yeah. So interesting fact about the Angels is who they've gotten to since the All-Star break. And that's they've gotten to Ranger Suarez. They've gotten to Jacob deGrom. They got to Yamamoto tonight. And that leads me into what we call the freeway series, JD. You can travel up and down the 5 freeway between Angel Stadium and Dodger Stadium. By the way, are we the only people in the United States that say the 5 or the 10 when we're talking about highways and freeways? Is that just a Southern California thing?
You've seen SNL where the Californians or whatever, where they make fun of all of the people in California with how they speak about their direction. So I guess it's a thing. I've never really noticed it. You haven't told, when you talk about living there, you don't tell me about that way. So you're safe, I think, but I don't live there, so I don't.
I guess it's just so this is a big win for the Angels because they took the season series against the Dodgers for the first time since 2019. They swept the Dodgers earlier in Los Angeles this year. Zach Neto hit what would be the first of 2 home runs on the night on the very first pitch from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They ended up handing him his worst outing of the year. 4 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, a career high, 5 walks, a season high, and just 6 strikeouts from Yamamoto. Mike Trout came through with the bases loaded with a 2 RBI single off Yamamoto. Yoan Moncada kept the scoring going with an RBI hit as well. And this was a big game for Angels starter Jose Soriano. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Didn't let a Dodger reach scoring position through those 6 innings. Everyone had their eyes on the 4th inning, though, in this one, JD, because that's when Soriano has struggled the most. He's got he had a 9 ERA coming into last night's game in the 4th inning alone. It's been very, very bad news in the 4th inning. But pitching coach Barry Enright, he connected Soriano with a little someone named Pedro Martinez. You may have heard of him, Hall of Fame pitcher. Yeah. He wanted Pedro to teach Soriano.
Ramon's brother? Is that who you're talking about?
He wanted Pedro to teach Soriano how to be more of a bulldog on the mound, and I think that certainly helped Soriano in this one. Finally, I just need to mention one more thing. Shohei Ohtani hit his 100th career home run at Angel Stadium, ties Kyle Schwarber for the National League home run lead at 42 as the Dodgers fall to the Angels 7-4. So Tungsten Armo Doyle strikes again, but this time with the Dodgers and not for the Angels. Thank God, because that meme was played into the ground when Shohei Ohtani was an Angel. I'm so sick of it.
So how does it feel like when the Angels do take down the Dodgers in a game like, How tall do you walk around town when that happens?
Right, I get to walk around Pasadena with my Angels hat on, and look, 4 in a row against the Dodgers. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's unfortunate. I just wish the Angels would play more above 500 teams, because apparently that's the secret sauce. JD, is if they play up to their competition, they do stuff like this, and then they play the White Sox or the Rays, and then they lose 2 out of 3 to those teams. So just a very uneven season for the Angels, very frustrating at times. But again, they take 3 of 4 from the Yankees in the Bronx. They go to LA, full of Dodgers fans, and even Angels Stadium is full of Dodgers fans because the tickets are cheaper. And so if you want to actually see the Dodgers, you got to go to Angel Stadium to do it. But they just play up to their competition constantly, which is a really great thing, but they have to keep that momentum in those series against lesser teams too. And look, they're trying to go for it. They're trying to play meaningful baseball. They're way behind in the wild card right now. They're 5 games under 500. So, unless they go on a pretty sweet run here in the last 2 months, I don't know that they're going to make the playoffs, but at least they're trying, and at least they're trying to keep it interesting at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day, as long as you beat the Dodgers, you're going to be happy, aren't you, John?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, look, we're different divisions, different leagues. Doesn't matter to me. I'd rather beat, the Astros or the Rangers or the Mariners, but it does feel pretty good to get one against a team like the Angels or like the Dodgers, especially, now that we're scorned lovers of Shohei Ohtani.
Well, coming up, we got another team that is they seem like they should be one of those teams considered for a wild card spot, but struggled a little bit recently. The Cincinnati Reds are at home tonight, taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll let you know how things played out in Cincinnati coming up next on MLB Game Night. Today's show being brought to you by OpenPhone. Now, if you're running a business, you know as well as I do that every missed call is actually money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, with these hot summers that people are going through right now. Maybe you had an HVAC issue, and if something goes down and you need to call somebody and you need some help, you don't just stop when the first person doesn't pick up the phone, right? You make your way down the list, and that's when you finally find somebody who can come and help you as fast as possible. And that's why having a reliable business line is so important. You don't want to be that first person they call, and then nobody picked up, and then you miss out on, money. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or a computer. If you've ever had to juggle 2 phone lines just to keep your business and personal calls separate, don't have to worry about that anymore with OpenPhone. They'll solve that instantly. Your whole team can also share one number and respond to customers like you would a shared inbox. No more, who's handling this? You guys all get to stay on the same page together. OpenPhone is offering Locked On MLB listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them at no extra charge. So check them out. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Today's show also brought to you by FanDuel. Now, August 26th, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks right now, officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. We've all got them. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're, calling your MVP for the upcoming year, or maybe you're eyeing a long shot division winner, or why not? Already ready to crown your Super Bowl champion. You think you know who's going to win already before week 1 even kicks off? This is your moment. So when you're talking about NFL MVPs, it's more than likely going to be a quarterback. It almost always is. Josh Allen won it last year for the Buffalo Bills. AFC's got a number of great guys. Josh Allen, obviously. Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes. Is he toast after kind of a year? What about Joe Burrow? And then on the NFC side of things, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield. How about my guy Jordan Love in Green Bay? I'm curious to see what a fully healthy Joe Burrow is going to do coming into the season. Looked real good in preseason game #1. That would be my pick right now, but you make your own decisions. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. All right, we're back on MLB Game Night. The Phillies and the Reds in Cincinnati. Another human night in the Queen City. Phillies hold a comfortable lead in the National League East. They just took 3 in a row over the Texas Rangers, who were one of the more hotter teams coming into that series, while the Reds look to climb into the third wild card spot as they look up at the New York Mets right now. Now, Cincinnati would have the pitching advantage, at least on paper, you would think, with Andrew Abbott, the lefty, the all-star, going up against the Phillies' Taijuan Walker. We got Jeff Carr of Locked On Reds talking about Abbott's start against Philly.
The Cincinnati Reds start off a tough week with a tough loss. And even though it wasn't Andrew Abbott's fault, it kind of feels like it marks his next step. This is the kind of game that Andrew Abbott was absolutely dealing in, and Terry Francona trusted him to bring him back out in the 8th. He gets 2 quick outs, and you're thinking, man, he might have a shot at pitching like a complete game here. And then he gives up a base runner, and then he gives up a hit, and he gives up the lead, and he gives up another base runner, he gives up another hit, and now the other team has the lead. And ultimately, the Phillies turn the 8th inning into their entire game, where they score 4 runs, and that's all they needed because the Reds only scored 1. And yes, you are right if you're blaming the lineup in this game, because that was my first thought. But Andrew Abbott is now being perceived as an ace, and an ace shuts that door. An ace gets that third out. I think that he is so close, and he's done it in games past, but he needed to do it on Monday night. Now, the Reds are looking at a week where they kind of hope they go 500. This doesn't sink the week, but it's a heck of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it was a tight ball game the whole time. Abbott was really, really good, like you mentioned, until he got to that 8th inning. A little curious about why he was still in there with the righty Trey Turner coming up, but if that's your guy, that's something that you do. You stick with your dude. Right. Connor Thomas, Locked On Phillies, obviously his side of things a little more happy because the Phillies got the win in this one, and he's got his thoughts on how the Phillies came back to life in this game.
What an impressive win for your fighting Phils, battling all the way to the end to find a victory in Cincinnati. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and the Phils looked dead for 7 of the 9 innings tonight, but they woke up in the 8th and 9th. And Taijuan Walker, let's talk about him first, because he battled tonight to keep the Phillies in this game. He wasn't getting a lot of run support. Didn't matter. He put together another good start, and he has been incredible this year for what the Phillies could have possibly expected. And then you just get some offense late. Trey Turner, a big spot. Weston Wilson, a big spot. Kyle Schwarber hits number 42 on the year. And the Phillies aren't winning games by just pounding the ball out of the ballpark. No, they're doing it in a bunch of different ways. Great pitching, great bullpen work, manufacturing runs, everything you need to do to win day in and day out. And this is now 4 straight for the Fightins after the sweep in Texas. They're on a roll right now, and we're going to talk a lot more about it on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
John, your thoughts on Jeff's comments about what an ace does? Is he right about Abbott needing to be able to shut the door in the 8th inning, even though he was kind of at the end of his rope, was getting ready to push 100 pitches late?
Yeah, especially when you get those 2 quick outs and then everything just falls apart. That's a real shame, because Andrew Abbott has had a great year, and he's certainly, pulling a macho man. The cream rises to the top, right? And Jeff, and Jeff's right. He's on the verge, JD. I feel like he's really on the verge to lead this rotation. As the rest of the season plays out, the Reds are trying to make a wild card spot, but you look past this year too, that's somebody you can really rely on. And so really, maybe he'll take that step forward. And Jeff mentioned it. He's done it in the past, and it just happened to be one of those games where it was really important that you got this win, and it's unfortunate it didn't end up that way. So really, he's right. That's what an ace does. They shut that door in the 8th inning. They're able to finish it out. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case for Andrew Abbott, but I could see him, taking that next step forward here pretty soon in the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah, and again, they got a nice trio when healthy with Abbott and Hunter Green, who's coming back, and Nick Lodolo, who's the other left-hander with them. So they just got to get them all at the same time. They just have not been able to do that so far this year due to different injuries. Twins of the Yankees. Now, the Yankees are trying to recover from their series loss at home against the Astros. They welcome the Twins to the Bronx. They're hoping to put something together behind starter Will Warren, who's been pretty good so far this year. Brian over at Locked On Yankees on what New York has something to build off of after picking up the dub in this one.
Yankees get a victory 6-2 in game 1 of this series as Will Warren really impresses. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees. Yankees looked the better team in this game, something that we haven't been able to say in a long while. The bullpen looked really good. Bednar closed it out, 4 home runs. Didn't love some of the swings, but hey, a win is a win. We haven't been able to say that a lot in recent times. They beat the team that was worse than them in the standings. They looked like the better team. Let's try and build off this, right? If you can get another win versus the Twins, they got to win. Simple as that. They're behind in the standings. They need to start winning games. They're in position to start doing that, and these are the teams that you have to beat, the teams that you're definitively better than. We'll be talking about it all week on Locked On Yankees.
Yeah, when you're in a position like the Yankees are right now, and the struggles have just continued, you just got to stack W's. That's where we're at this time of year. You got to stack wins, and having Warren do what he did tonight obviously helps that with 6 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Yankees got some pop, as Brian mentioned there. Stanton, Bellinger, Chisholm, Rice all hit home runs. John, one of your favorite new fantasy players, one of the Twins, how did he tune tonight? Your boy Luke.
Luke Keeschel went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. I think that's his first game without a hit since he came back. So I'm going to stick with my guy, Luke Keeschel, for the rest of the fantasy baseball season.
Yeah, he had himself a good week last week. So it's just one game where things didn't quite work out the way he wanted. Speaking of things working out well, the Brewers, have they been on a roll or what? They were taking on the Pirates tonight, looking to make it 10 wins in a row on Monday. No, this is not a repeat. They've already done this once this year. They're going for it again. And we got Chuck from Locked On Brewers, who was in disbelief at how good this team has been.
The Brewers have won 25 of their last 29 games. Let that sink in for a little bit. For a franchise that has been mediocre to bad for most of our lives, right? No championships, one World Series appearance that was 43 years ago. And until recently, division championships. And a couple before that. Chuck Freeman, Instant Reaction, Locked On Brewers. The Brewers are that good, man. Tonight, Jose Quintana, who the Brewers picked up off the scrap heap, gave a $4.5 million contract during spring training. And you could argue he's the weak link of the pitching staff, but he's got 10 wins. 10 wins. Again tonight, Quintana. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. Again, that would be considered the weak link in the starting rotation for the Milwaukee Brewers. They're that good. Beat the Pirates 10 in a row. See you later on tonight with the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
Yeah, the Brewers at this moment, it feels like they can do no wrong. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. It doesn't matter who's playing in the game. Somebody is going to step up and make that big play in the field or get the big hit, the clutch hit. It just continues. It's an incredible run that they're on right now. They just seem to get the most out of their players this year. As Chuck mentioned, Jose Quintana is a really good example. John, what has impressed you about the Brewers so far this year? I know you don't get to see a whole lot of them being on the West Coast, but in your time that you've seen the Brewers this year, what do you take away from watching them each day?
It's just a different way that they win games. They'll play small ball. They'll take advantage of mistakes that, the opposing team's defense makes. They'll hit the home runs when they need to. And then the pitching, right? It's like, you get Jacob Mizraowski. I know he's been hurt, but that's a great addition that you didn't need to do anything at the trade deadline to acquire somebody like that. They get Brandon Woodruff back after, having faith in him that he's going to come back strong after a year and a half of injury. And so there's just, they got a secret sauce in Milwaukee. And so hopefully if they get to that, those free burgers that we've been waiting all season for, they're going to put a little secret sauce on those burgers because I could see them going on that run again. And what is it? 12 in a row? Is that the magic number? 12 in a row or 14 in a row? Something ridiculous. But
you were the one who opened my eyes. I had no idea that there were 3 burgers on the line. Like, you were the one who told me about it.
There you go. So yeah, I just love how everybody goes to Milwaukee and they get better, right? Andrew Vaughn's a good example of that. And I think playing in a meaningful atmosphere where they're playing meaningful games, I think that does a lot for a team as well.
Yeah, and we were talking about your boy Luke with Minnesota as a pickup. If you haven't picked up Isaac Collins yet in fantasy, like, do it. Pick him up and enjoy, because he's been absolutely on fire. I think him and Luke were the ones who ended up getting like players of the week in the NL and AL too. So go do that now. Go. Stop wasting time. Another NL Central team trying to hang around in the NL wild card. I have been knowing a little bit about these guys called the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll get to their game against the Rockies next on Locked On MLB Game Night. Today's show is being brought to you by Gameday Hue. Gameday Hue. Now, they got some good stuff here. They make clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. They let the colors speak for you. You've got hats like this. No giant logos. Just smart, versatile style that works on game day on the course or anywhere in between. I've been wearing mine to the gym recently. I don't live in St. Louis. I live in a different city known as Cincinnati. They don't like the Cardinal fans, so I don't really wear Cardinal stuff out in public very often because they all yell at me. So this works out beautifully for me in those particular situations. The hat pairs perfectly with what I would normally wear on the golf course. And they also got, if you haven't seen them yet, the Gameday Hue split shade gloves, which are made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who's got everything already and they just need something else that's really, really cool. So those obviously are helpful on the golf course as well. Perfect gift for the fan who's, Christmas, Father's Day, whatever it may be. You can give it women too. It's not a man-only thing. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now's the time to load up. So let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Let's go to the Lou, John. Just recently saw Nelly in concert. So much Cardinal love in there, brother.
Congratulations.
Rockies were in town. And the Cardinals took 2 of 3 against the Cubs this past week, in which, you know how you feel about beating the Dodgers. That's how the Cardinals feel about beating the Cubs. Whether the Cubs have a better record or not, it's nice to get the wins against them. But they also beat the Dodgers, just like your Angels did. Took 2 or 3 from them. So they had a 4-2 week last week, feeling pretty good about themselves, and entered the day 3.5 back in the NL wild card. You got the Rockies coming, right? Rockies not a very good team this year. We know this, but the Rockies just beat the Cardinals 2 out of 3 in Denver. So how can the Cardinals overcome this and finally, get that monkey off their back and defeat the Rockies? Well, you had Miles Michaelis on the mound, not really all that well known for pitchers' duels because he usually gives up quite a few hard-hit balls. But on this night, he was very, very good. 5 1/3 no-hit innings, but the Rockies got 2 in the 7th. And all of a sudden, the Rockies got a lead. They're up 2-1. But in the 8th inning, the Cardinals would get a walk by Nolan Gorman. Thomas Ajayci would hit a bloop single. And manager Ali Marmol would call on the lone Cardinal all-star this year, Brendan Donovan. We call him Captain Clutch. He's been out with a growing issue, wasn't in the starting lineup for the 3rd straight game, but he comes up huge, delivers a 2-run triple to give the Cardinals a 3-2 lead, and that is how it would end. Michaelis, he deserved better. We make fun of Miles a lot on the Locked On Cardinals podcast. We give him a hard time, but he was very, very good in this one, so you got to give him credit. You'd prefer not to struggle against the team like the Colorado Rockies. We're on pace to, have a record low winning percentage in Major League Baseball. But the Cardinals are now 5-2 in their last 7. They're 3 games back in the wild card. They gained a game on the Reds because they lost to the Phillies. And Cardinal legend Adam Wainwright. All right, I'm going to give you a quote real quick. Recently posted over the weekend when they were facing the Cubs. He said, "I'm looking at the schedule. I'm calling it now. The Cardinals shock everybody and are playing for a wild card spot on the last series of the season against the Cubs. Cubs-Cardinals, last 3 days of the regular season would be wild."
Let's
John,
go, Wayno. I love it.
Are you buying what Adam Wainwright is selling, or did he just get a little too excited because Yadier Molina was back in St. Louis and was on the bench over the weekend?
No, I'll buy anything that Wayno sells, man. The fact that, the Cardinals, they're not in a bad position to, go on a nice little run and sneak into the wild card there. So, yeah, if it came down to that last series, how epic would that be? That would be incredible.
That would be fun. I'm not telling anybody to hold their breath that the Cardinals will do that, but at least they're playing some fun baseball right now, which is all you can really ask for. Entertainment, that is. All right, let's take it to Kansas City Nationals at the Royals. Royals come in 2 games under 500. The Nats, we know they've been out of it for quite a while. Nats were up 4-2 in the 6th inning, and that's when the Royals started to power up. Salvador Perez hits a 2-run blast, ends up tying that game up, and then Kyle Isbell followed just 4 batters later with the go-ahead 2-run home run to make it 6-4. They'd go on to win this one by a final of 7-4. It's a very important time for the Royals right now, John. They're 4 back in the wild card, which I know it feels like a lot, but you still got plenty of time here. You know, you need people in front of you to lose, obviously, but their schedule, pretty nice. Monday series opener kicked off a 10-game homestand over the next 11 days. Opportunity is there against the Nats, and then they get the White Sox. So this is a spot where Kansas City certainly needs to take advantage of a lighter schedule for now. Tigers at the White Sox, John. What went on in Chicago tonight?
Yeah, Tigers are 9-11 in their last 20 games. Not exactly a collapse, but certainly a struggle compared to how long they were the best record in baseball for so many days this year. They're facing their AL Central rival Chicago. Chris Paddock on the mound. They got him from Minnesota at the trade deadline. He was good. 5 2/3, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Tigers bats were having trouble getting anything going, and it was tied at 1 until the top of the 9th when first baseman Spencer Torkelson launched one off the foul pole in left field. 26th of the season makes it 2-1. Then they had a 63-minute rain delay. Eventually were able to finish it up.
9th inning too, bro. That's rough.
Just the worst. Why does that keep happening lately? Kyle Finnegan gets the win, his 4th of the year, after tossing a shutout inning in the 8th. Will Vest gets his 17th save. This win ties them for the most wins in the AL with the Toronto Blue Jays. They also have an opportunity to get things going against the White Sox and 4 against the Twins this week. So they're kind of in the same position as the Royals. Get things going this week, guys. Come on.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of the lesser teams. When your schedule gets a little lighter, that's when you need to shine, because, you know, when you go up against these other teams that are, you know, playoff caliber type teams, things are going to be really, really rough. Rays and A's. All right, this game was in Sacramento. The Rays have slipped to 5 games under 500 coming into the game. They're just 3-7 in their last 10. Meanwhile, the A's, they've won 6 of their last 10 and been putting up some crazy offensive numbers recently. Rays would jump on A's starter J.P. Sears for 4 runs over the first 4 innings. They knock him out of just 3 1/3 innings. And it seemed like they were going to run away with things. Brandon Lau and Junior Caminero would end up hitting back-to-back jacks in the 7th to make it 6-1. But then the A's, you know what they do when at that stadium, they answer back, especially the night games, dude. That ball flies there. They come back with a 3-run shot by Tyler Soderstrom to make things interesting at 6-4. But the bullpen for the Rays would come in and shut things down. Rays win this one 7-4. 15 hits by the Rays offense. Junior Caminero, 3 for 4, 33rd home run of the year. Shea Langoliers stayed Bangaliers in this one. He's still hot for the A's, goes 3 for 4 with his 24th dinger, but the Rays end up snapping their 3-game losing streak. Let's go to San Francisco. What do we got there, John?
Yeah, even further up the 5 freeway, JD. San Diego, they've won 12 of their last 16 with a 4-1 win over the Giants tonight. Jackson Merrill hits an RBI double. Rafi Devers hits a solo home run for the Giants. That had things tied up in the 6th inning, 1 apiece. Cronenworth hits an RBI single. And then Freddie Fermin from the Kansas City Royals, now with the Padres, puts up a 2-run homer off Logan Webb. Mason Miller, who the Padres got from the A's, strikes out the side in the 8th. Robert Suarez gets a 1-2-3 inning to close this one. Padres suddenly behind the Dodgers, just 1 game back of first place in the NL West. Padres fans, you're welcome for the Dodgers loss tonight. There you go.
Finally wrapping things up, D-backs at the Texas Rangers. Burger time in Texas. Arizona had a 6-1 lead in the 6th, and then they put up 5 against Nathan Eovaldi. You know, that's not something that people have been doing this year. No. He's been very, very good. But Corey Seager and Wyatt Langford brought the Rangers within 1 off Ryan Nelson, and then Rowdy Tellez tied it with a solo home run at the bottom of the 9th. And then it was your boy, Jake Berger, who walked it off with an RBI single to score Sam Haggerty as the Rangers complete the feel-good comeback win. They take it 7-6 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. That is it. That is what happened in Major League Baseball tonight. Thank you for joining us for this episode of MLB Game Night. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We hope you guys will come back, visit us next time on MLB Game Night. It's every game, every night.
Burger time.
So hungry. Put some cheese on that sucker, John.